Everybody, welcome in to Fantom Sports. I am Benjamin Parker. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we are all draft talk. I'm going to see how many names I can cram into 12 minutes worth of video. So hang on. This is going to be a quick ride in no particular order. We are just going to stuff a whole bunch of high-profile names and give you a quick caption of as many of these people as we can. Starting with quarterback, Malik Willis out of Liberty. Most of you are already pretty much familiar with his skill set by now. Cannon of an arm, huge arm, fast wheels. Think of cartoon-like Fred Flintstone kind of wheels when he runs. Definitely can really get up and down the field, and has a personality that a lot of people are going to love, including and especially his teammates. 30 seconds talking to this guy, you get the feeling that he is high character and good personality, very, very engaging. So love all of that. There are some blemishes, and they are not going to go away. He is going to leave us in 1 week just with open mouths and jaws dropped at how fantastic and explosive and how big play he is. And then 2 weeks later, he is going to throw for 3 or 4 interceptions in the same game. That's just his DNA. If whoever ends up drafting him, they need to understand that this is what he is, and that is not going to change, all right? Do not try to tame him. Do not try to turn him into a guy who sits in the pocket and who tries to go through all of his checkdowns and all of his progressions and tries to pinpoint laser accuracy to little tight windows. That is not him. If that's what you've got in mind, then definitely you should not be drafting Malik Willis. You have to let him be who he is, and that is a big play guy who once or twice a year is going to have a really horrible game, and you're just going to have to accept that that is who he is and move on each week from that, because he's going to make a lot of big plays in the NFL, and I think that the team that accepts that and builds around that with that in mind is going to be very happy with Malik Willis, especially on that rookie contract. Also at quarterback, you have Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is very different. He's mobile. He can make a play with his legs, but that's not how he's going to make his living. He can throw the ball downfield, but he nowhere near has the cannon of an arm that, say, Patrick Mahomes has or Malik Willis has. Kenny Pickett is precise. Kenny Pickett is very accurate. He is kind of sort of in the Joe Burrow accuracy level, all right? Can he make plays the way Burrow can? Can he hang in there when the entire offensive line is getting crunched? Not sure about that, but Kenny Pickett is an accurate guy. Can he carry a franchise? Probably not, but I think Kenny Pickett is good enough and certainly accurate enough and certainly willing enough to try to fight for every single play and every single yard that he can get, that I think he would be a great fit for a good, solid franchise. Definitely would not be interested at all in seeing Kenny Pickett go to a bad franchise where they have a struggling offensive line and an offensive coordinator or a coach who's not exactly sure what they want to do, or who only has one good wide receiving option. That's not going to be where you want Kenny Pickett to go. Somewhere like the Steelers, where they're very stable, decent offensive line, or a workable offensive line, good receiving threats, good, stable coach to work with, that would be a good option. The Commanders, even though the Commanders don't have a good upper administration in the works, certainly not, but they have Ron Rivera, good, stable head coach. And they have a good offensive coordinator there with Turner, who I think is very creative and knows how to draw up plays very well in the NFL level. I think Pickett would be a decent fit there. They have good wide receiving options. They have good running back options. I think that would work out okay. The Vikings would have been a great fit before they decided to, for whatever reason, park another Brinks truck in Kirk Cousins' backyard again. So I don't think that's going to happen at all. That's certainly not going to happen. But the Vikings would have been a decent fit as well because of what all they have there with a decent offensive line and Justin Jefferson to throw to. And then the Titans as well. And whatever they decide to do with Tannehill over the next couple of seasons, it wouldn't be a horrible idea to have Kenny Pickett playing for the Titans as well. Again, good, stable franchise. Decent on offense, decent on defense. I think Pickett would be a good fit for that as well, even though I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. All right, so that's Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. Everybody else in the quarterback draft section, that's Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell. To me, they are all guys who should be alternate options in the second or third round, and maybe you get something out of them in 2023 or 2024. Let's talk wide receiver. There's a lot of guys to like here. In the first round, in the second round, there's a ton of guys to like here at wide receiver. Your physical guys, your big physical tough guys are Drake London, Treylon Burks, and George Pickens. George Pickens from Georgia. All three of these guys, if you're looking for a physical, tough, bigger kind of a wide receiver, it'll be those three guys. Drake London from USC, Treylon Burks from Arkansas, or George Pickens from Georgia. All three of those guys should leave their teams very happy that they've got them. I don't necessarily think that any of these three guys is necessarily a game changer and going to change the way defenses scheme against you necessarily, but it's another good upgrade to your wide receiver class, no matter who you already have at wide receiver. Those are your big physical guys. If you're looking for more of the speed guys, the guys who can really get up and down the field, that's Jameson Williams from Alabama. That's Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. That is Chris Olave from Ohio State. That's certainly Jahan Dotson from Penn State. And then that would be Christian Watson from North Dakota State and Sky Moore from Western Michigan, I think it is. So all the way down into about the top 45 picks, you can get wide receivers. If there's a guy you want, though, don't wait until pick number 24 or 25. I don't think he's going to be there. Started somewhere around pick 8, 9. I think the wide receivers are going to start to go all the way through pick number 20, 22. I think those top 5 guys are going to be gone. And then if you wait anywhere past pick number 40, 42, 45, I don't think you're going to have any of the wide receivers that you want, even though there may be some other good options there in the 3rd round. All of the best guys are sitting up there somewhere in the top 45, and the top 5 guys I think are going to go somewhere in the top 22, all right? So that's Jameson Williams, speed, Alabama, Garrett Wilson, speed, Ohio State, Chris Olave, speed, Ohio State, Christian Watson, speed, North Dakota State, and size as well, and then Sky Moore from Western Michigan in the speed category, Drake London, Treylon Burks, and blanking here, George Pickens, all in that physical strength category. Let's go to edge rushers. That's been one of the big positions here on the NFL draft. Kayvon Thibodeau is your speed guy. If you are looking for one guy, barring all other question marks, any other check marks that you may have, if you're looking for the fastest, strongest combo, the fastest pure edge guy, it is Kayvon Thibodeau, no question about it. So if you want somebody fast off the edge and you just want him to go off the edge, forget everything else, forget anything else you might want your defensive end to do. If you want somebody who's fast, you go Kayvon Thibodeau, and he would be a welcome addition to any defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan is scheduled to go number 1. I wasn't overly thrilled with the fact, and I'm going to be a little negative on Hutchinson here, even though I like him. I wasn't overly thrilled with the fact that we didn't see him catch hardly anybody from behind, even in a league of Big Ten quarterbacks who are, for the most part, pocket passers. I wasn't overly thrilled with the fact that we actually saw David Ojabo, even on the plays where Hutchinson wasn't double-teamed, and there were a lot of those, that we saw his teammate, David Ojabo, actually be quicker to the quarterback off the edge and get the quarterback first more often than Hutchinson did. I wasn't overly thrilled with the fact that we didn't see Hutchinson get out into the flat very often and make hardly any plays out there. Or if he did, he was usually the 3rd guy there, kind of trailing on the play. He's a smart player. He's a polished player. He's a strong player. He had the benefit of playing on a Michigan defense that was very, 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 very aggressive. They had Daxton Hill, the safety, playing up in the box a lot. They had David Ojabo on the other end, creating tons of pressure off the edge. And I wasn't thrilled with any of that. What really bothered me more than anything, though, with Aiden Hutchinson, again, I'm going negative here, but I still like the player. I just don't like him in the top 5, the top 10. I like him somewhere in the top 15, top 20. What I really didn't like about Hutchinson the most, though, was I did not see him battle through traffic a lot. Usually when he was beating players, it was one-on-one on the tackles, or if he got double-teamed, most of the time, it was a tackle-running back combination, which almost never worked because Hutchinson had his momentum and his hand moves. What I didn't see Hutchinson do a lot of was beating guard centers up the middle. You didn't see much of that at all. You didn't see him beating many tackle tight end double teams at all. Matter of fact, usually he didn't line up on the side that the tight end was hardly at all in most of the games that he was in. So I didn't like that. So comparisons for me to Bosa brothers or the Watt brothers run a little thin there. When you go back to the college tape of the Bosas and of the Watt brothers, you see them breaking through guard center combinations, deep, heavy in traffic up the middle, or you see them breaking through tackle tight end double teams out there on the edge and fighting through that. You don't see a lot of that on film with Hutchinson. Do I think he can still be a good player? Yes, I do. Is he going to necessarily change a franchise? I wouldn't count on it. All right, so I like Hutchinson, don't love Hutchinson. If you're also looking at edge rushers, you've got Jermaine Johnson. I like him. I don't love him out of Florida State. I think he's got an excellent set of tools, but I don't think there's any guarantee that he's necessarily going to come in and just dominate. Trayvon Walker, I think a lot of people are blowing smoke on Trayvon Walker, to be honest. I think he's going to get drafted very high by somebody. I think it's going to be mostly on traits and process, not necessarily on what you saw on film at Georgia. He played with one of the best defenses that we have ever seen. There are tons of NFL draft picks this year coming off of that defense, and yet Trayvon Walker, even for a lot of one-on-one matchups that he had, didn't necessarily dominate the whole year. He was one off several Georgia guys who looked very good. I think the process all the way through the combine and the pro days, et cetera, has been very kind to Trayvon Walker. I don't necessarily know that we've seen that on film, all right? So those are some of your edge rushers. We're starting to run out of time here. Offensive tackle, Evan Neal, Ikemekwono, both of those guys from Alabama and from NC State, neck and neck. Ikemekwono is better at run blocking, but he's very good at pass blocking. Evan Neal is not as good at run blocking. He's decent, but he's very good at pass blocking. Both of those guys would do very well for left tackle. If you want Charles Cross, I like Charles Cross, but he's nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as the other two guys. I see a solid starter at left tackle in Charles Cross. I think he's not going to be great in pass blocking. I think he's going to be decent. Saw him get beat probably 2 times a game when he was at Mississippi State. Saw him get a holding penalty probably every other game. Saw him get a lot of help from left guard and running backs in pass protection when he was at Mississippi State. Didn't see him go one-on-one as much at Mississippi State as Evan Neal and Ikemekwono. So that's certainly something I think you should keep an eye on there. We'll go another minute longer here. At center, Tyler Lindenbaum out of Iowa. I would draft him, and I don't think anybody's going to do this. I would draft him at number 12 or 14 or 15 in a heartbeat. And I don't care what anybody else says about not drafting a center that early. If you've got a guy as good as Lindenbaum appears to be out of Iowa, I would draft him in a heartbeat if I was a team that needed any kind of help at center, and not everybody does, but I would draft him there. If he lasts all the way to the end of the first round or the early second round, somebody is going to get an absolute steal there with Trevor Lindenbaum at center. Let's wind it up. Ahmad Gardner is the best cornerback in this draft class. I think he's one of the top 5 players, flat out, no doubt, coming out of Cincinnati. He could be a dominant cornerback in the NFL. Even if he's not, he stands to be very good. Love him up there in the top 5. If he lasts anywhere outside the top 10, I will be shocked. I think he's going to go somewhere in the top 5, top 6, top 7. And I think we'll wrap it up with Kyle Hamilton just to keep this safe. Kyle Hamilton and Devin Lloyd. Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Good in coverage, but what he really does best, he has this incredible sideline to sideline, like a homing pigeon, like a center fielder in baseball. He is incredible at going sideline to sideline, breaking up passes, and actually making plays on the football and getting interceptions. Tremendous ability, extremely rare to see that. Hopefully an NFL team who drafts him does not try to just turn him into a cover guy or into just a normal kind of a safety, but they use his sideline to sideline ability. One last name I'll throw out at you, and we could talk all night about this, but Devin Lloyd, linebacker. A lot of people are going to let Lloyd slide because they just don't need a linebacker or don't want to invest a first-round pick in a linebacker. He is going to end up on a very good team, and it could be the Chargers, it could be the Steelers, it could be the Patriots, the Packers, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Titans, the Buccaneers. He is going to end up on a very good football team, and he is going to instantly upgrade their pass protection at linebacker, their pass coverage at linebacker. He can get to the quarterback from the linebacker position, and he's decent against the run. He can do it all. There aren't many linebackers who can. Devin Lloyd is one of those guys who can. He's not necessarily going to change the defense, but he is going to end up on a good, solid defense, and he is going to instantly help that defense, and he is going to benefit a lot from that as well. Keep an eye on that. That's going to happen as well. All right, we could cover a whole lot more, but this is long enough. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to catch all the other people on Fantom Sports. Go over to the website. They have a lot of great articles as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.